Hi everyone, we are now live on YouTube and Instagram. Welcome to our free mindfulness class number 4, where we are going to talk about developing awareness of your negative self-talk, of your inner critic. I'll give you some strategies to start breaking free from your negative self-talk. And at the end, we'll do an exercise, and I'll also be talking today about my upcoming mindfulness and meditation bootcamp for beginners. So this will be the second edition of my meditation and mindfulness bootcamp. I will give you all the details. You get to ask questions also at the end. So make sure to stay until the end to practice and to ask questions. And for those of you who are on Instagram, come to YouTube because the class is going to be live on YouTube. I'm just coming live here. I'm just going live here on Instagram to let you know that the class is starting now. And that every Thursday we have these free mindfulness classes live here on YouTube, where you can learn more about mindfulness, meditation, yoga, where we can practice together, and you get to ask questions live. And these classes have no replay, so make sure to join us live, because this is actually premium content that I could easily charge for, so this is only for committed people, like I'm sure you are. So make sure to join us live every Thursday at 6 p.m. London and Lisbon time and 1 p.m. New York time. So if you are watching on YouTube, let me know if the sound is okay, if the sound and the image are okay. And if you are on Instagram, come join us on YouTube. My channel is the Yogi Wonder, like here on Instagram, so come join us live on YouTube. The class is going to be there. I just go live here for around 5 minutes, and then we start on YouTube. So come join us live on YouTube. If you are on YouTube already, let me know if the sound, if the image, if everything is okay, if we can start. I also should let you know that the stream has a slight delay, so make sure, if you have questions, make sure to ask them during the class, not right at the end, otherwise I may miss them. And this way I won't be able to help you and to answer your questions. So make sure to say hi so I know you are here watching, and we'll start our class. So today we are going to talk about our inner critic, about our negative self-talk. But first, let me introduce myself to those of you who don't know me. My name is Wanda Mendonça. I'm a journalist. I studied journalism in college. And after college, I went back to I'm from an island of the Azores, Portugal. So after college, I went back to my island to work as a journalist, where I worked for around 7 years. Everything was going according to plan, except a little detail. I wasn't happy. So I had a paycheck at the end of the month. I was working in my chosen career, but I wasn't happy. I was feeling stuck in a place and in a job that didn't feed my soul. And it was around this time that I found yoga, that I started practicing regularly, and that I started my own journey of self-discovery. So after a while, after practicing yoga for a couple of years, I finally summoned the courage to quit my job, to move to Lisbon again, and start a yoga teacher training. And after that, I became a full-time yoga teacher. I always loved to travel. I was always a travel addict, and I wanted to travel and explore the world. So in 2013, I had the opportunity to move to Switzerland, to Zurich, Switzerland, with my boyfriend, and I took that opportunity. We have been living here for 8 years already. I started traveling more, following my dream of exploring the world, of living abroad. And then finally, I founded the Yogi Wanderer, so my travel and yoga and mindfulness website. where I share my passion for travel, for yoga, for mindfulness with other people. And my mission on my website and on social media, my mission is to empower women to live their best, most authentic lives through travel and mindfulness, like I did. So I'm going to turn off the live here on Instagram now, so come join us on YouTube. The class is going to continue here on YouTube live, so see you in a bit. So let me just set up everything here. So come join us on YouTube. And we can continue with our class. So as I said, today we are talking about developing awareness of our self-talk. And our self-talk can be divided into three categories, so three main categories. So the first one is that voice that criticizes us and puts us down, so also known as our inner critic. The second type, the second kind of self-talk is the voice that makes excuses, is this inner voice that blames other people, that says it's not your fault, and that sees yourself as a victim. And then we have a third kind, which is the voice that tells you it will be okay, and that encourages you, also known as your cheerleader. So the first two are your inner critic, and the third one is your cheerleader. And all of us, we have both an inner critic and a cheerleader inside our heads. All of us have both a positive and a negative self-talk. But unfortunately, for most of us, the inner critic, the negative self-talk, is the dominant inner voice. And contrary to some mechanisms of our minds that we learned on the previous class that are part of our survival mechanism, we weren't born with a positive or a negative self-talk. Both of these are learned. So we learn this from our parents, our family members, our teachers, society, and generally just from people around us. And over time, these positive or negative thoughts and beliefs about ourselves and what we can do or we can't do are programmed into our minds. So without even being aware of it, we become what we observe and are exposed to, especially when we are growing up. So we are the result of the thoughts and beliefs that people around us expressed, not only when they were talking to us, but also when they were talking to themselves. And an example that this is something that you are not born with is if you remember when you observe a toddler learning to walk. When a toddler is learning to walk, he doesn't get discouraged every time he falls. He doesn't say to himself, this is too hard, or I can't do it anyway, so I better give up already. A toddler doesn't worry about what other people will think of him because he's falling and failing. So he just keeps going and tries until he makes it. He doesn't worry about other people's opinions. He doesn't think that he's making a fool out of himself. He simply tries until one day he starts to walk. That's how we learn to walk. That's how we learn to talk. That's how we learn everything when we are kids. But as we grow up, we lose this child's mind. Unfortunately, as we become adults, we lose this child's minds, and we start seeing failure as something bad. We start worrying about what other people think of us, and we become our worst critics. So all these thoughts become really ingrained in our minds. And as I said, this is taught to us by our parents, our caregivers, teachers, people around us. Not only from how they talk to us, although this is important, how they talk to us, if they criticize us a lot, but also from how they talk to themselves, what they think they can or cannot do, what our mother or our father thinks they can or cannot do is also going to influence our vision of what we can do, and our vision of the world. And then one day, our nagging mom or our critical dad are living inside our heads. But the good news is that you can put them out of your head. So if you ever caught yourself thinking or even saying something that your mother used to say, you know what I'm talking about. These thoughts that are not ours, but that we internalize and we assume as our own. So now let's talk about 4 common types of inner critic, 4 common personality types of our inner critic. And this is important to learn so that you can develop more awareness of your own self-talk. So it's important to learn how our mind works, what are the mechanisms that our mind uses, so that you can develop more awareness. So there are 4 common types of inner critic, of personality of our inner critic. So the first one is the warrior. So the warrior is the voice inside our heads that always expects the worst. It always thinks that the worst is going to happen or can happen. It says, what if? So for example, if you are planning to go on a trip to a place that you don't know, or if you are planning to go on a solo trip for the first time, you are planning to travel alone for the first time, it says things like, what if you get lonely? What if you feel lonely? What if you get robbed? What if you get lost? What if something bad happens to you? So it's the warrior always assumes the worst is going to happen. Then we have a second type, which is the critic. And the critic is that inner voice that constantly judges you and evaluates your behavior. It always assumes that other people will judge you as well. It minimizes your accomplishments and always points out your flaws and mistakes. It says things like, I'm an idiot, or, oh, I'm so stupid. Then the third one is the victim. So the inner critic, the victim, thinks that you are hopeless or that it's too hard. It believes something is wrong with you. It thinks you're unworthy or not smart enough. And always focus on the obstacles. Always thinks that there's too many obstacles on your way. And it also always blames other people for your own setbacks. It blames others and says it's not your fault. It says things like, I can't do it because it's too hard, it's too difficult, it's not my fault, I have disadvantages at life, my circumstances are not the best. So it always blames external circumstances and people. Then we have the fourth and last type, which is the perfectionist. So the perfectionist thinks that you are never good enough. For the perfectionist, there's always more to be done to achieve perfection. So it believes that mistakes must be avoided at all costs. And for the perfectionist, external validation is very important. Like achievement and status, all of these are very important for the perfectionist. Acceptance by others is very important for the perfectionist. And the perfectionist stops you from taking action because of fear of failure. So the fear of failure, the fear of what other people will think, paralyzes the perfectionist. It stops him from taking action. And the perfectionist says things like, I'm not good enough. So these are the 4 types of personality, of common types of inner critic personality. So usually all of us, we have a little bit of each of these types, but usually there's one that is predominant. You can tell me on the comments, on the chat, if you'd like, which one do you identify with the most, or if you don't want to share, just think which one do you think is predominant in yourself, in your own self-talk. So for me, for example, for a long time, it was the perfectionist. I was very perfectionist since I was a kid, and this will stop me, like I said, from taking action, from taking risks, from trying new things because of fear of failure. The problem is when you do this, you also stop yourself from success and from achieving and from learning new things. So take some moments to think which one do you think you are. You don't need to share, as I said, if you don't want to, but start developing awareness of your inner critic's personality and how it affects your life. It can also be helpful to understand why you think the way you do. So did you have critical parents? Or was it your grandparents, your teachers maybe? The goal here is not to blame other people, but to understand where you are coming from. To become aware of your own patterns, of your own thought patterns that you may have internalized from other people and assumed as your own. And now let's talk about your inner critic strategies. So our inner critics uses several strategies, and we are going to talk about some of them. The first one are limiting beliefs. So limiting beliefs are more common if you have a fixed mindset. And what is a fixed mindset? A fixed mindset is when you believe that your intelligence and your talents are fixed, that you cannot develop your talents, that you either have it or don't have it, that you are either intelligent or not. So it believes in people that have a fixed mindset believe in natural talent. And these people have a greater tendency to have limiting beliefs, because if they believe they don't have a talent or they are not intelligent enough, for them it's not possible to develop that talent. So the contrary of a fixed mindset is a growth mindset. People with a growth mindset believe that you can develop your intelligence. You can and should develop your talents with hard work. So in many studies have shown that we can actually develop our talents even longer than we thought before, even at an older age than we thought before. So people with limiting beliefs say things like, it's too hard, I can't do it, or I'm not good at this, or it's too risky. So they stop themselves from doing things because they think they are not capable of, and they don't want also to expose themselves to failure. That's another trait of people with a fixed mindset. So it's important to develop a growth mindset, and you can learn more about that and read more about that, to understand that it is possible to develop your talents with hard work. It's possible to achieve success with hard work. So talent is important, but it's not everything, and talent can also be developed. Then the second strategy of your inner critic are the assumptions. So our inner critic believes that he's always right. He jumps to conclusions and makes snap judgments about people and situations. It makes up stories, for example, about what other people are thinking of you. And it says things like, everyone will criticize me, I made a fool out of myself, they don't like me. So it makes assumptions, and it thinks that it can read minds. It thinks it can read the mind of other people. Then we have the reruns, which is the third strategy. And reruns are repetitive thoughts on autopilot. And these can be memories that you replay in your mind for some reason, because you feel regret or because you think you should have said or done something differently, or phrases you say repeatedly in your mind. So sometimes these phrases, these things that you repeat, sometimes you don't even believe them. So it says things like, I'm an idiot, or I'm always late, or this always happens to me. And the fourth and last strategy of our inner critic is other people's thoughts. So as we saw already, your inner dialogue has been programmed by your nagging mom or your critical dad. And these thoughts have a tendency to manifest themselves with the word should or should not. So when you think that you should or should not do something, this usually is a sign that you are assuming someone else's thoughts or beliefs as your own. Also, a sense of guilt is also a sign of that you are assuming other people's or society's beliefs as your own. If you feel a sense of guilt or that you should do or should not do something, usually these are not your own beliefs. So it's important to ask, in this situation, it's important to ask, what do I really believe? What do I really want to do or think? So what do I really think it's the correct behavior or the correct action, not what other people think? And where is this thought coming from? Where am I getting, who or what am I getting this thought from? So how can you start to break free? Now that we have learned about how our inner critic works, what are the 4 common types of personality, and what are the 4 common strategies that our inner critic uses. So as I said, all of us have an inner critic, all of us have a little bit of all of these personality types. All of us use, all our inner critics use these strategies, so it's important to develop awareness of these processes so you can break free. And the good news is that you can reprogram your mind and take your power back. It is possible. You can break free from your inner critic, and mindfulness can help you do that. So I'm going to give you now some strategies that you can practice on your daily life to start breaking free from your negative self-talk. And the first one is observing your self-talk without judgment. Again, by becoming aware of your thoughts, of your thought patterns, you can start changing any faulty patterns. And with time, you can even start replacing the negative thoughts, the negative self-talk with more positive thoughts and more positive self-talk. So this is possible through meditation. You can develop this awareness through meditation, journaling, mindfulness exercises. So mindfulness in general will help you develop this awareness of your own thoughts and emotions and of your own self-talk. The second thing, and very important, is to remember that you are not your inner critic. Your inner critic is not you. You are not your thoughts. And when you stop over-identifying with your thoughts, something amazing happens. You take away their power over you. When you detach from your thoughts, you take your power back. And to help you do this, you can give your inner critic a name. So this will help you detach from your inner critic. You can call it Bob or Karen, whatever name you want, to help you detach from your inner critic and see you as something separated from you. Then the third strategy is to ignore your Bob, to ignore your inner critic. If you know that you are not your inner critic, that your thoughts are not you, that you are not your thoughts, you don't need to take your thoughts seriously. You don't need to believe everything your inner critic says. You don't need to take it seriously. You don't even need to believe it. Because these thoughts, most of these thoughts will always be there. We just need to learn how to manage and how to deal with them. So for example, fear will always be a part of our life. So fear will always be present. It's up to us to decide if we want to allow fear or this kind of thoughts behind the wheel of our lives or on the back seat. They will always travel with us, but we can choose if they are behind the wheel or if we are behind the wheel, we are driving it and they are simply sitting on the back seat. And that's how you take your power back. You just learn to deal with these thoughts and give them less importance. And then the fourth strategy is to protect your Bob, or your Karen, whatever you want to call it. And how do you do this? by being mindful of your inputs. So if we know that we are influenced by the people around us, by the thoughts, by the information, by the beliefs of the people around us, it's important to protect our minds, to choose wisely what we expose ourselves to. So choose what people, media, information, social media, thoughts and beliefs you expose yourself to wisely. Because these thoughts, this information is going to influence you. And remember that it takes time to get good at controlling your Bob, your inner critic. So go easy on yourself. Otherwise, you will just be criticizing yourself all over again. So remember, the more you practice being mindful of your thoughts and self-talk, the easier it will become to control your Bob and to manage it. So now, to finish our class, we are going to finish with an exercise. Well, I will actually give you the exercise, I will explain you the exercise, and you can do after the class on your own with time to think about all of this. So the exercise is the mindful inputs exercise. So start making, after the class, make a list of the 5 people you are around the most. Also the 5 people you follow on social media or you learn from or you look up to the most. List also the different communities you are a part of. This can be your nationality, your religion, your family, your job, your hobbies, all the communities you are a member, you are a part of. List your top 3 media that you watch or listen to. List also your top 3 sources of information. And finally, list where you spend your time on social media. So make a list of all of these. The 5 people you are around the most, the 5 people you follow or learn from the most, the different communities you are a part of, your top 3 media you watch or listen to, your top 3 sources of information, newspapers, for example, magazines, books, and where do you spend your time on social media. And after you have this list of your inputs, start asking yourself the following questions. Do I want to be like these people? Do I really share the values and beliefs of these communities? In what ways do this media and information impact how I feel and act? So by answering these questions, you are starting to become more mindful of who and what you allow into your life. So start developing this awareness. And remember that you have a choice regarding what you expose yourself to. You can choose what people you are around. You can choose what communities you are a member of. You can choose what kind of information you expose yourself to. So all of these are choices that we make on a daily basis and that are going to influence our life, our thoughts, and how we feel and act. So that's it for today's class, because I wanted to save some time to talk to you about my upcoming bootcamp. Let me know in the chat if you have any questions about the class, and I'll answer all of them at the end. And now let's talk about my upcoming mindfulness and meditation bootcamp. So registration is now open for the 2nd edition of my meditation and mindfulness bootcamp for beginners. And this will take place from April 8 to April 28. So it will be 21 days. And during this bootcamp, every day you will receive a very easy and simple meditation or mindfulness exercise. Very easy and simple, but very powerful, that you can do in just 5 or 10 minutes per day. We'll also have a private Telegram channel where I will guide you through the whole process, where I will give you my support, where you can interact with the other students. And you can also ask questions, and I will answer all your questions and doubts. And at the end of the bootcamp, so this will be 21 days, 3 weeks. At the end of the bootcamp, I will also help you develop your own independent practice. Because I think it's important, even though I'm a teacher, I'm a yoga and meditation teacher and a mindfulness coach, I think it's important for everyone to develop their own independent practice. It's important that you are not always dependent of a teacher, of a guided meditation or a recording or a video. So I will help you do just that, to implement and develop your own independent practice, so you can continue to feel the benefits of mindfulness and meditation even after the boot camp. So the feedback from the first edition was very positive. It was a lot of fun, a lot of learning. So it was really very positive. So registration for the second edition now in April is open until Monday, the 5th of April, but places are very limited because I want to make sure that everyone that is going to be a part of this bootcamp is going to have the best experience possible. So if you want to be a part of this bootcamp, save your spot now if you'd like to participate and start transforming your well-being in just 21 days. So I will leave the link in the comments, and you can also go to my Instagram channel or to my website, and you'll find all the information about the second edition of my bootcamp. So this will probably be the last one I will do before summer, because then after that I will have some other news for you. So make sure to join us for this 21-day challenge, this 21-day bootcamp. And now let me know if you have any questions about the class or about the bootcamp. Let me know in the comments. Let me see here. So you can use this time to ask questions. If not, we will end our class. So remembering that every Thursday we have these free mindfulness classes. So from now on, the first 3 classes are available on my YouTube channel, but from now on these classes will have no replay. As I said, I may leave it for a couple of hours after the stream, just so that people that came late can watch it, but then there will be no replay, because this is actually premium content that I could easily charge for. So it's only for committed people that want to be live, ask questions and practice together. So it seems there's no questions today, so you can always keep in touch on Instagram, on social media, and ask questions there as well, or through my website. So thank you for watching and see you next week. Bye bye.